Welcome back everyone to the Maury Garage. Now that I've got the car all tuned up, I'm going to be upgrading the brakes to these drilled and slotted rotors, these ceramic brake pads, and I'll be doing some sanding and painting to clean it all up. Stay tuned. Here are the rotors and the pads that I bought. I got them off of Amazon as a package. So the front ones are drilled and slotted and they are vented in between. The back ones are drilled and slotted and they are solid pieces. And then we've got our ceramic pads for the back and the ceramic pads for the front. These are not expensive rotors. They will rust just like your old ones. So before we get started putting them on the car, we're going to scrape off the coating with these wire brushes with some brake cleaner and prime and paint them. After you've cleaned them, go ahead and use your masking tape to mask them off anywhere that the pads are going to touch. This is what it'll look like when you're done. I'm only doing the center, so I don't have to worry about cutting the edges. I'm going to go ahead and clean it up with some more brake cleaner and then spray the primer. Here's the primer I'm going to be using. So I'm going to find a good place where there's no wind. I'm going to shake this up really good and start spraying. I have the first coat of primer down, so I'm going to wait a few minutes and we'll come back and spray a second coat. Now that I've got my second coat of primer on there, I'm going to go ahead and spray my gloss black paint over the top. After you get your first coat of paint on, wait about 10 to 15 minutes and we'll come back with a second coat just like the primer. After you spray your second coat of paint, you don't have to do this, but I am going to spray a clear coat over the top of it. We'll do it just like the paint in 2 coats. I have the final coat of clear on the front rotors, so I'm going to move on and do the rears. You can do them all at once. It was raining yesterday and I needed to cover them up and I can only cover 2 at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and get these cleaned, taped up, and painted. Now that they're all painted, I let them dry overnight. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the masking tape. Here's the rotors with the masking removed. They turned out great. The paint turned out great. And these will look a lot better black than rusty behind these wheels. Now that the rotors are done, we're going to go ahead and jack the front end up and get these wheels off. Now that we've got the wheels off, we're going to start prepping this caliper for paint. So to make it a little bit easier to get to it, you just grab it and turn it by hand. After you've got the wheel turned, you're going to want to pop this retainer clip out. We'll just stick a flathead right in here and it should pop right out. Now that I have the retainer clip off the front, I'm going to remove this rubber boot up here and this one down here. They just pop right out. After you remove the 2 rubber boots, you'll come in behind here and have to remove the 2 7mm Allen bolts. The outside pad fell straight off. If it doesn't, it'll pull right out. And for the inside pad, you'll just grab it, pull it straight out. Make sure you find a good steady surface to put the caliper on so that it doesn't hang by the brake line. Because I'm also painting the bracket and also replacing the rotors, we're going to have to remove these 2 18mm bolts in the back to remove the bracket. After you remove the 2 bolts, the caliper bracket will slide right off and you can go do the other side. Now that I have both front calipers off, I'm going to take the rears off. They're very similar to the front. The retaining clips, just take a flathead, push it up in there, you'll pull it out. We'll put one on the bottom, pull it out, and it'll pop right off. Also, just like the fronts, you'll have to remove these 2 rubber boots. Once again, with a 7mm Allen key, I'm going to remove the 2 slide bolts. The last thing I'm going to have to do to remove the rear caliper is remove the emergency brake line. So I'm going to take a flathead and push this piece backwards while taking another flathead and getting behind this cable and pushing it forward, and it'll pop right out. Before actually removing the rear bracket, I'm going to remove this bolt here that's holding this brake hose bracket. Lastly, to remove the rear bracket, you'll remove this 13mm bolt at the top and one at the bottom here as well that I've already removed. Now that the rear caliper and bracket are off, we can do the other side. All 4 calipers, front and back, are off the rotors. We're going to clean these up before we start cleaning. The first thing I'm going to start doing to clean all this old brake dust off is I've got some Dawn dish soap up to about right here mixed with water. Just stir it up. I'm going to take these wire brushes and we're going to scrape all that brake dust off. And I've got some paper towels to wipe it up with. So I'm going to do what I just did all the way around the caliper. I'm also going to do this inside area here. You won't really see that, and I'm probably not going to paint that, but I'm going to go ahead and clean it off while I'm working on it. And there it is. This is what it should look like when it's all cleaned up. The other side over here was a lot harder to clean, but you can see I've got it all cleaned up. I'm going to tape it off. I'm not going to paint that under part there, so we don't have to worry about that. I'm going to go do the other side, and then I'm going to do the brackets. Both front calipers are clean. Now I'm going to do the brackets and the retainer springs. I'm just going to actually soak these in some Dawn dish soap and water. I'm going to use the wire brush to brush on them, but we can do these a little bit differently since they're off the car. And the brackets are clean. Just to let you know, I spent about an hour on each of these. Now that I'm done cleaning both front calipers and brackets with the soapy water, I'm going to let these soak in just regular water and wipe these down, dry them off, and then hit them both with brake cleaner. I'm not going to film everything with cleaning the rear calipers. The process is exactly the same as the front. They're shaped a little bit differently, and there's a couple of extra little parts. I'm not sure what all I'm going to mask off and paint yet, but I'm going to go ahead and clean everything thoroughly. When I get done with this side, I'll go do the other side, and then I'll do the brackets as well. I've got the front calipers clean. I've got the rear calipers clean. I've got all 4 brackets, all 4 retaining clips, all cleaned up. So now we're going to get ready to start masking everything off. But before that, I've got to compress these pistons on the calipers. To compress these front piston calipers, there's a number of ways you can do this. The cheapest is probably going to be to use a large flathead screwdriver. You can just stick it through this hole, and it'll take you a while, but you just hit it at all angles, and it will eventually compress all the way back. The way that I'm going to be using it is with these clamps and one of the original pads. With this type of a clamp, and you can do this with any type of a clamp, we'll just take the pad, we'll turn it around backwards so that it sits onto the piston. You'll take your clamp, after you get it adjusted just right, you'll just squeeze it in. You'll have to readjust your clamps a couple of times, put it back on there, and clamp it again. And there we go. To compress the rear caliper piston, I went to AutoZone and got one of their Lona tools. Basically, you pay the price of the tool. You can keep it for, the guy told me, as long as I want, but I've read online that it's 90 days. And then all you have to do is take it back with the receipt and you'll get a full refund. Because the rear calipers have these pin indicators for the rear piston, you'll just have to figure out which one of these patterns lines up. Luckily for me, I don't actually have to use one of the adapters. The one that's already on there is what I'm going to use. So I'll take the pressure screw assembly here and this backing plate and just slide it over. Next, once you get your backing plate on there, we'll just slide it into place and align your holes up. Once you've got the holes lined up, just take this center piece and twist it until you get the backing plate tight against the caliper. Next, I'm going to take this 7/8 inch wrench. We're going to sit it on here and we're going to tighten this up. Once you've got it tight and you've got the pins and the holes on the piston, just twist it and turn it in. You will do this process of tightening the center piece and then twisting this outer piece a few times before you have the piston completely compressed. I have all of the caliper pistons compressed, front and rear. I'm going to start taping off these rear calipers for paint. For the rear caliper, I taped off the piston and the rubber seal that goes around it. This center section here, where the brake hose actually attaches to the caliper. And then if I flip it over, I've got this spring section that actually connects to the emergency brake and then the brake bleeder on the side. Here are the front calipers taped off. Just like the rears, I did the piston and the seal that goes around it. I did this center section here. On the back, all I had to do was the brake hose and the bleeder. For these rubber grommets that the slide bolts go into, you can tape these off, but I'm actually going to take a pair of needle nose pliers and just pop them out. You'll just pinch both ends and push it out. Now that I have all the calipers taped off, this is not necessary, but I am going to remove the rotors to give me a little bit of extra room for painting. These rotors are definitely seized on, so I'm going to be using some PB Blaster to help break that up, and then I've got a hammer and a block of wood to knock it loose. I've got both rotors off on the front and I've got both rotors off on the rear. So I'm going to start masking this car off so that I don't get any overspray when I start painting these calipers. I have the car fully draped off, so I'm going to go ahead and cut some holes in the center there and pull the calipers through. I had to do a little bit of brainstorming to figure out how I was going to hold these calipers while I painted them. What I ended up doing was taking these motorcycle ramps or ATV ramps, whatever you're going to use them for, and I put a clothes hanger going through one of the holes, and then the other end of the clothes hanger is going through where the emergency brake cable runs through. I'm going to clean these up with some brake cleaner, and then we'll spray our primer. I have the first coat of primer on both of the rear calipers. I'm going to spray one more coat, and then we'll spray the paint. Both rear calipers are done. They both have 3 coats of black paint, 2 coats of primer. I let the black paint dry overnight, and now I'm going to spray 2 to 3 coats of the clear. The front calipers should be a little bit easier to paint. What I've done is actually cut a hole through the bag, pulled the caliper through, taped the hole off, and then I'm using the stand that I actually used to paint my subwoofer box on to balance the caliper. I built a stand for the driver's side as well. Just like the rears, first we'll clean it. 2 coats of primer, 2 to 3 coats of black. I let these dry overnight just like the rear. Now I'm going to go ahead and add 2 coats of clear. So all 4 calipers are completely painted. So I'm going to get these front ones off the stand and get the masking off of all 4 of them. I'm going to go ahead and unmask the front 2 calipers. Now for the rears. I have all 4 calipers unmasked. Now I'm going to get these brackets set up for paint. I wish I could have done them all at the same time, but unfortunately I have to use the stands that I had the front calipers on and the ladders or the ramps that I had the rear calipers on to hold these up. Here's my setup. I used the wooden blocks or the stands that I used for the front calipers to hold the ramp up. And then I've got a couple of clothes hangers. I've got a larger one for the bigger brackets and then a smaller one here for the smaller brackets. And you can see how I've got them hanging, and then I've got the car masked off behind. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean these things up with some brake cleaner and then spray primer. Just like the calipers, I got 2 coats of primer, so I'm going to go ahead and spray 2 to 3 coats of the black paint. I got 2 coats of black on the front and rear caliper brackets, so it's getting late, so I'm going to try to hurry up and spray the first coat of clear, and I'm going to try to get 1 more coat on there before I go to bed. All of the brackets and calipers are completely painted. So I'm going to remove all this masking and start putting this stuff back on the car. Now that everything's finished painting, I'm going to go ahead and start putting the front rotors on. But before I do, I'm going to put a little bit of this copper anti-seize behind it so that if I ever have to take them off again or the next person has to take them off again, it comes off a little bit easier. So once you get your anti-seize on, you can go ahead and mount your rotor up. Now that I have the rotor mounted up, I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the caliper bracket. The factory bolts did have some blue Loctite on them, so I am going to go ahead and add some before I mount it up. I have the caliper bracket on, so I'm going to go ahead and put the new pads in the caliper and reinstall it. The piston side caliper just pops into place. Put some copper anti-seize on the outside of the pad. We're going to take the clips that it comes with, slide it on, slide it over, and just push it down, and then we'll add some more anti-seize on the outside of this and on the back of the pad as well. I'm going to go ahead and reinstall the caliper on the rotor. We'll let it balance itself there, and then we'll put our slide pins in. Sorry guys, I missed a step, but no big deal. I pulled the bracket back off, and I've got to reinstall these rubber grommets for the slide bolts. Before I install my slide bolts, I'm going to wipe them down with some isopropyl alcohol, and then I'm going to lube them up with some silicone brake lubricant. After you get it lubed up properly with the silicone lubricant, you can use your Allen key to put it through the grommet. After you have your slide bolts installed, go ahead and reinstall the dust boots on the outside of the grommets. This front caliper is completely installed aside from the retaining spring. I'm still going to go clean these up a little bit, but for the most part, this is the only thing that has to go back on. So I'm going to go do the other side, and then I'll start filming the rears. For the rear, I'm going to go ahead and clean it with some brake cleaner, just like the front, and add some anti-seize before I put the rotor on. I'm going to reinstall my slide bolt grommets back into the caliper. Now I'm going to reinstall the bracket with the factory bolts and some Loctite. The rear bracket is installed, so I'm going to add some anti-seize to the outside of my pads and put them in place. Now that I have my pads in place, I can go ahead and line up my caliper and slide it into place. Now that the caliper's in place, just like the front, I'm going to clean my slide bolts with some alcohol and add some silicone lubricant before I reinstall them. I've got my slide bolts installed, so now I'm going to go ahead and put my rubber boots on the back. I'm going to reinstall the bolt for the brake hose bracket, reinstall the emergency brake cable, and the rear caliper is completely installed. So I'm going to go do the other side, and then once I clean up the retainer clips, I'll go put them on the front and on the rears here. For all the retaining clips, I'm not going to paint those black. What I'm actually going to do is just wet sand them with some 2000 grit sandpaper, which I've already been doing, and then I'll use this semi-chrome polish to clean them up. Got the clips cleaned up and polished up. They're nice and shiny. I think it's going to really make those black calipers look good. So I'm going to go ahead and get these on the car. There's no easy way to put these clips on, guys. You just pretty much have to put this top piece and this bottom piece in place, and then those two will push forward. So we did scrape the paint right there and right there. All I did was just spray some on a piece of cardboard and then use my finger to just hit those spots. These things are going to be behind the wheel, so you're not going to notice anyway. Rear ones are not as bad. You actually put the inner ones in first, or that's how I do it, and then push these out and push them in. So you can see where it's scraped right there, and then right there, and then on the other side as well. I'm not even going to worry about that. You're never going to see that. So the brakes are completely done. I'm going to get these wheels back on here and actually go inside the cab and pump the brakes, and I'll be finished. All right, here's the rear rotors and calipers. They work great. This was more of a cosmetic upgrade than a performance, but there's the fronts. Man, those things look good.